everyone. It's an honour to welcome you to this dialogue in our series El Humente. My name is Dominic McCarthy, and together with Christabel Hijena, a part of the Australia LATAM Emerging Leaders Dialogue. Our organisation seeks to strengthen international cooperation and understanding by engaging young leaders across the two regions. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, our group has been looking for new ways to interact online and foster increased engagement. And hence we launched this El Humente series along with other initiatives to continue the conversation in Australia and Latin America to collaborate and provide new opportunities.
Today, we are pleased to welcome our special guest, Jairo Hernández-Milian. Jairo has had an extensive career in international relations, diplomacy, academia, and non-governmental organizations. He has previously been the Director General of Foreign Policy at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Costa Rica. Jairo served as the Costa Rican ambassador to Singapore from 2012 to 2017, and the Costa Rican ambassador to Australia from 2013 to 2019, as well as the resident ambassador in Canberra from 2017 to 2019. He has been a professor at the Central American Institute of Public Administration, the Texas Tech University, Costa Rica, as well as the International Center for Development Studies. More recently, Jairo was a researcher at the International Center of Economic Policy, which is the CINPE Costa Rica, for sustainable development. And currently he is the chairman for the Center of Promotion of Trade and Investment for Asia Pacific Latin America to achieve better institutional and commercial links between Central American countries and the Asia Pacific region.
Welcome, Jairo, and thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to share your insights with us. Jairo, could you please tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, and what sectors and countries have you worked in, and what's your connection between Australia and Latin America?
Well, thank you very much, Dominique and Christabel, for this opportunity to join you on this interview for the El Emergente series of the Australia LATAM Emerging Leaders Dialogue. I studied law and political science in Costa Rica and obtained a master's degree at the Fletcher School of Law and Diplomacy at Tufts University in Massachusetts, United States of America. I have experience in the public, private, and academic sectors. I served as Chief of Staff of the President of Costa Rica from 1994 to 1998. I was a Programs Officer at the Costa Rica Foundation for Sustainable Development. I also managed an academic program at FLACSO, the Latin American Faculty of Social Sciences. For 10 years, I served in 4 different positions at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Costa Rica: Deputy Permanent Representative to the United Nations, Director General of Foreign Policy, Ambassador to Singapore and to Australia. I presented credentials to the Governor General of Australia back in 2013, and for 7 years I represented Costa Rica in the Commonwealth. 2 of those years I was based in Canberra when I was asked to open for the first time our embassy in Australia. I came back to Costa Rica 2.5 years ago, and since then I have been busy with academic, consulting, and research responsibilities. More recently, I became the chairman of the board of the Center APELAC, which specializes in strengthening links between Asia Pacific and the Latin American region, mainly the countries in Central America.
Now, Jairo, we would like to know, during your time working as a diplomat, particularly the 6 years that you spent as Costa Rican ambassador to Australia, what did you find were the most interesting about this role and about Australia, and what was your highlight?
Well, my experience as Costa Rican ambassador to Australia was very fruitful. I pioneered the efforts to strengthen the bilateral relations between our 2 countries. Australia plays a strategic role in the greater Asia-Pacific area, which has become in recent years a new frontier for Costa Rica's foreign policy. Soon after I started my position as ambassador to Singapore, I was accredited, as I mentioned before, ambassador to Australia concurrently in 2013 when I went to Canberra to present my letters of credence to the then Governor General Quentin Bryce. For several years, I visited Australia to nourish our bilateral relations until the moment was right for me to move to Canberra and start the process to open the new embassy. I have to say that those 2 years between June 2017 and the end of March 2019 were some of my best 2 years in my life. I was able to meet very interesting people, receive wonderful support from local authorities, traveled to different cities in Australia, set the tone for inspiring ideas, established the foundations for fruitful endeavors in several areas, coordinate activities on behalf of the Latin American group, which I presided for some time, and many other things. I have to say that incredible memories come to my mind of my tenure time in Canberra. Each one of the duties and responsibilities I was deeply involved in was a learning experience, inspiring moments to be treasured forever. In some, a lot was made to set foundations for better trade, education, culture, tourism, and political relations.
Fantastic, thank you. You must have quite the memories here then.
Certainly it is.
Jairo, what is Costa Rica's role in and contribution to the Latin America region? And how does Costa Rica as a country collaborate with other local and international partners?
Thank you for the question, Dominique. That's very interesting because I have to say that those 10 years that I served as a diplomat for Costa Rica were very interesting because I was able to advance Costa Rica's diplomatic goals. And I have to say that is a huge privilege given the country's credibility in the international arena. First, because Costa Rica is a disarmed democracy. I remember that I organized an event to celebrate the abolition of the Army Day at the Australian National University in Canberra on December 1st, 2018. And this is not common because in most Latin American countries, you celebrate the Army Day, and in Costa Rica, we do the opposite. But we are proud of it. Thanks to not having to spend resources in the military, we have been able to invest in education, health, and other human development indicators. Since we believe in disarmament, it is obvious for us to advance goals to help our planet become free from all kinds of nuclear weapons, for example. A few years ago, Costa Rica sponsored an international treaty in that regard. We are also known for our good standings in human rights. We believe that true democracies need to boost all kinds of human rights. Last but not least, Costa Rica has championed the cause of environmental protection and sustainable development. We are well known for being a country friendly to the environment. Practically 100% of our energy comes from renewable sources. 25% of our country is devoted to national parks. We have launched a plan to decarbonize our economy, and we support all those international goals favoring the efforts to tackle or to deal with climate change. So as you can see in summary, being part of the Costa Rican Foreign Service is a privilege because we can do a lot of things for the world. We can contribute from our own domestic interests to advance those goals on the planet level.
Thank you for sharing. It's very, very interesting to hear Costa Rica's role in Latin America, but more broadly in other places like Australia and the Asia Pacific too.
Now, Jairo, how would you describe the migration flow between Australia and Costa Rica? And how can we encourage young people to participate in exchanges between the two countries?
Well, I know that Costa Rica has welcomed many young people from Australia, especially before the pandemic. Many young people came to visit our country, attracted by our nature and sustainable development goals. I am aware of some of those examples, even good Australian friends who found a wife in Costa Rica. And in proportion to our size and population, Costa Rica is one of the countries that receives more Australians. And we are willing to welcome many more. Our country recently enacted legislation to attract digital nomads with special incentives for those who want to work remotely and at the same time enjoy nature. Our countries, both Costa Rica and Australia, have started preliminary negotiations to have a treaty allowing working visas for young people. I mean, I'm sure you are very familiar with this. It's called work holiday visas or something like that. And I think this is something that would be very beneficial, mutually beneficial. These agreements of youth working visas, I am aware that are already in place between Australia and other countries like Chile, Argentina, Brazil, Uruguay, Peru, Mexico and Ecuador. And so because of the pandemic, probably we got some time limitations, some time constraints, but I'm sure the current ambassador of Costa Rica to Australia will be working to advance those goals as a priority.
Yeah, how interesting. Yeah, can't wait until the working holidays are between Australia and Costa Rica.
Jairo, currently you're the chairman of the Center of Promotion of Trade and Investment, Asia Pacific, Latin America. And you've also previously been, as we mentioned before, the Costa Rican ambassador to Singapore. What are some of the current strategic and economic opportunities that Costa Rica is exploring throughout the Indo-Pacific? And what role does Australia play in this?
Yes, thank you. I continue to be connected to the broad Asia-Pacific region. Ever since I came back from Australia, I wanted to be connected to the Asia-Pacific region in one way or another. Thanks to the welcoming support of excellent professionals, I am involved in this organization devoted to link Costa Rica and other Central American countries with Australia and the rest of Asia-Pacific, which is certainly the most dynamic and competitive region in the world. I am excited to be part of this organization, the Center of Promotion of Trade and Investment with Asia Pacific. We are willing to open new institutional connections and business possibilities. In fact, as we talk right now, I am in El Salvador, and I had a meeting with the Vice Minister of Foreign Affairs this morning. I did the same thing in Guatemala last week, and we're trying to sponsor activities, to connect the public and private sectors of all these Central American countries with the broader Asia-Pacific region. In Australia, we already have a memorandum of understanding with ALABAC, the Australia Latin America Business Council, and we aspire to work together to create conditions for more business opportunities between Australia and Central America. If I have to define our center, I have to say it is a think and action tank, the only organization focusing on Asia Pacific in Central America. And we work on 5 strategic sectors: trade, investment, education, tourism, and innovation and technology. So that's one of my priorities as the new chairman of the board of this organization. A few weeks ago in Costa Rica, we organized a big forum, Costa Rica and Asia Pacific. We were able to find sponsors for the activity. It was partly virtual, partly face-to-face, and it was a very successful activity. And we plan to replicate this initiative in countries like Guatemala, El Salvador, Panama, Dominican Republic this year. So I am very much looking forward to coordinating more things with our partners in Australia and other countries of Asia Pacific to advance the center's goals.
That's great to hear, and really interesting to hear also Costa Rica's role there in Central America and the Caribbean. And I know more broadly in the Asia Pacific, because that's definitely a big region that Australia talks about, the Asia Pacific and the Indo-Pacific. And now it's sort of about also shifting the focus to Latin America. So it's really interesting to see how that converges with Costa Rica and what Costa Rica is doing between Australia and then its own region as well.
Jairo, with your extensive experience, in your opinion, what is the future of Australia and Costa Rica relations? And how do you see the social, commercial, and economic relations developing?
Well, as the first resident ambassador of Costa Rica to Australia, I was responsible for opening the initial linkages between our countries. I still remember when I was Director General of Foreign Policy back in 2011, 2012, when the ambassador of Australia to Mexico, which served Costa Rica and other Central American countries, came to me and said, well, when are we going to have a Costa Rican embassy in Australia? So that was a goal that we were only able to achieve because of different reasons until 2017. I'm sure that current Ambassador Armando Vargas has continued the efforts to increase and upgrade our relationship in many areas. From the Center, Asia Pacific, Latin America, APELAC, we are enthusiastic about potential opportunities to increase trade and investment and boost tourism, as well as taking advantage of avenues of cooperation in education and innovation, for example. I see a future with potential benefits for both countries, no doubt about it. Our countries are solid democracies. We both believe in similar ideals to improve the well-being of our people. We both belong to OECD. Costa Rica is the most recent member of the OECD. With an Australian Secretary General, we are enthusiastic regarding his agenda and his potential emphasis on Asia Pacific. Our first ambassador to the OECD, appointed a couple of months ago, was my predecessor as president of the Center, APELAC. And we look forward to working together with Ambassador Alexander Mora and through him with OECD and its goals to take advantage of the opportunities that global trade and investment have to offer to countries like Costa Rica. So Australia and Costa Rica can become partners in many productive initiatives to benefit, I would say, by regional cooperation in many areas. So I think the future ahead is very promising for countries. I know that our countries are very different in size. Of course, Australia is a very large country. Costa Rica is a very small country. But I think that we can both set a common agenda that may be beneficial for our bilateral relations, but also may be beneficial for the greater Indo-Pacific, the Asia-Pacific area. That's what I think so.
Yeah, sounds like a very promising future with many different types of opportunities. It's good to hear that, yes.
Yes, thank you very much, Jairo, for joining us today and discussing the Australia-Costa Rica relationship and the opportunities ahead. It's really insightful to hear from someone such as yourself with all your experience and expertise across Australia, Costa Rica, the Asia-Pacific and elsewhere, and learn more about the relationship and the connections between the two continents of Australia and Latin America. So from ourselves, the team at Australia LATAM Emerging Leaders Dialogue, and our audience as well, thank you very much for joining us today and for your time.
Thank you, Dominic. Thank you, Cristabel, for this opportunity. And I look forward to collaborating more with your organization. I think it's a very interesting initiative to allow young people to reinforce the links with Latin America. I know that Australia has been paying attention more and more to Latin American countries, and I think there is a lot of potential for our countries and our regions to do much more, and of course to contribute to leave a better world to the next generations.
Thank you, Jairo.
Absolutely. Thank you.